Okay.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this Retail Pro and Riot webinar on how you can count your inventory in minutes. My name is Uliana Avitisov. I am part of the marketing team at Retail Pro. And, you know, for some of you, or maybe a lot of you, this right now is the season for counting inventory. So this webinar is really particularly relevant to all of you, and maybe more so because it touches on something that's actually a major bottleneck for many retailers. I just last week got an out of office reply from someone who the email said, "Thank you for your email. We are currently closed for inventory." Gives you a little bit of insight for how grueling of a process and taxing it is on staff time, et cetera, right? Just from that one little email. So, you know, the good news though is that counting inventory does not have to be this painful. That's what you're going to get to hear about today from our partners at RIOT. RIOT is we're very happy to be working with them on this solution because it's obviously something that a lot of retailers hurt for. And the integration is already available for Retail Pro Prism, as well as legacy versions of Retail Pro, and it's widely used across the globe among brands that are using Retail Pro. So allow me to introduce to you, please, Genika Buka and Darren Williams of RIOT, and a little bit later you'll also hear from Jason Giva, who will show you the integration. So Genika, all you.
Thank you, Uliana, for the beautiful introduction. I feel like you've done half my work for me already. So I appreciate that. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining the RIOT RFID for Retail Pro webinar. Well, just like Uliana explained, when we ask most of our retailers what they hate most about having an online store or physical retail store, they all respond with inventory, inventory, inventory. This is why RIOT was created, and this is exactly why we are sitting in front of our screens today. So imagine taking a physical inventory in minutes instead of days. Well, that's RFID. And imagine RFID is simple, affordable, and works out of the box, plug and play with Retail Pro. That is RIOT. So RIOT made RFID simple. It's a plug and play, fully integrated with Retail Pro. It's an affordable subscription plan handling everything from tags to hardware to software. Before I start with the presentation, I would like to ask a few questions to get everyone involved and aware of the necessity of RFID. So if you can kindly answer these questions on your screens, I'm going to ask Uliana to pop up every question. You have about 5 seconds to answer this, and that will just help you guys to realize how much you actually do need RFID. So the first question is, how many times a year do you count your inventory? Once, twice a year, every quarter, or every month? So most retailers can't count their inventory frequently. It takes too much time. It takes too much time from their staff, eventually costing them a lot of money and also losing loads of sales. So Uliana, can you share the score with us?
Yes, let's see what we've got here. Okay, so here's the results for us.
I'm sharing my screen. Can you say the score?
Oh yes, sure. So the score comes up. Let's see. So how many times a year do you count your inventory? We've got every month. We have 17% of you are counting your inventory every month. 6% of you are counting it every quarter, and a whopping 78% do it 1 to 2 times a year.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, because without RFID, of course, no one can count their inventory monthly or weekly. It's impossible, and you lose a lot of money. Okay, let's go to the next question. How long does it take you to count your inventory? Does it take you a full day and a full night, 3 to 5 working days, or more than a week? Well, for most retailers, out of my experience, not using RFID, it takes them anything from 3 to 5 days. Again, wasting loads of time, leaving huge room for human error and inaccurate inventory. So Uliana, let's give them 2 seconds and then you can reveal the score again.
Alrighty. So yeah, we've got maybe about half of you voted. I'll give you just a couple seconds more and then I will close the poll for you. Okay, it looks like maybe most everybody's kind of trickled in now. So let's see. All right, so how long does it take to count your inventory? For those of you, it takes 30% of you all day, 25% of you, it takes 3 to 5 days, and 45% it takes you more than a week.
Okay, so again, most of the retailers I've spoken to takes 3 to 5 days, but in this instance, actually, some of you take more than a week. That's a lot of sales that you miss because, of course, you have to close your store. All your staff is counting inventory, not paying attention to sales. So that's a huge loss in sales, which is quite annoying. Okay, so let's do question 3. Do you have a high ratio of online sales and do you experience loads of returns? I know some retailers don't have online presence, but obviously with the new age and the world moving forward, a lot of people are doing online sales, have online stores, have created online stores. And this is also leading to a high, inaccurate inventory. I look at my friends placing orders, they would take the same shirt in blue, yellow, and red in small, medium, and large because they're not sure of the size, trying it on at home and then obviously sending it back. And this back and forth leads to inaccurate inventory again. And if you can't count your inventory weekly, that would cause a lot of problems once again. So, Uliana, what's the score?
Yeah, let's see. So those of you who are experiencing a lot of returns, that's 14%. 48% don't have a ton of returns in online sales, and then 38% experience that seasonally.
Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned before, the online presence is something for the future. It's definitely increasing as we speak because of course COVID and everyone staying home and placing online orders. So this is definitely something that will become a problem as we speak. But again, RFID can help with this. So let's move to question 4. Do you experience theft, loss in your store? Again, I feel like most retailers have experienced theft and loss. And now imagine if you can count your inventory every day, you can realize really, really fast what items are getting stolen and what's, maybe placing them closer to security or just keeping an eye on them. But you won't realize what items get stolen if you don't count your inventory and understand which items are actually missing. So again, RFID can assist with that. So Uliana, what is the score?
Yep. 17% of you are very lucky and experience theft or loss very rarely. That's great. I'm glad for you. 58% of you experience that occasionally. And for 25% of you, sadly, it's a very big problem. Yeah.
Okay. So again, I feel like theft loss is a huge thing in the retail world. And like I said, it all boils down back to having an accurate inventory and knowing exactly what's in your store. And the only way to do that is by moving to RFID. So I'm going to play. Thank you, Lahana, so much, and thanks guys for participating. I hope you guys have realized that maybe you do need RFID after asking a few of those questions. So I'm going to play a quick video. I know it's a little bit small. Jason will show a demo at the end showcasing this as well. But this is just a quick example of how quickly RFID counts inventory. This is one of our Retail Pro stores. They're selling jeans, Freddy jeans, and they count their inventory in less than 70 seconds.
Darren jumping in here, adding a little comment. Gallica, is that paused or?
I paused it, yes.
Oh,
Do you
no,
want
you
me
keep
to?
playing it. No, keep playing.
Okay.
What you're seeing is someone just strolling through the store, kind of casually scanning from a distance of about a meter, just kind of slowly waving the scanner up and down. Some products are easier to read than others. Clothing is particularly friendly. If you had a rack full of accessories, you'd probably want to get a little bit closer, maybe half a meter, and scan a little bit slower. But as you can see, any which way you go about it, it's scanning very, very fast. If you're able to see the counter on the screen there, it's up over 1,200 already. And when they get up toward the end of it, and there's a progress indicator kind of showing their progress against the expected count from the stock on hand in Retail Pro. And then boom, in a matter of 70 seconds, they were able to complete the physical inventory of their sales floor. So anyway, it's quite remarkable, but enough of me. I just thought I'd add a little color commentary while the video is playing, but back to you, Gallica.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Definitely. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And as you guys can see, RFID works. It's just a matter of you buying it. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's see. How does RFID work? So a lot of my clients call me. They think it is very, very hard. It's going to be a difficult process, and really, it is not. RFID consists of 3 legs. That's the easiest way to explain it. You need your hardware, which is an RFID printer. You need an RFID scanner. You need RFID tags. These tags comes in different shapes and sizes. So whatever tag you currently have, it can be easily replaced. And then of course you need the RIOT software. Again, RFID is super simple, and we made it very, very easy for Retail Pro. You simply change your normal barcode printer with the RFID printer. You put in the RFID tags and not barcode tags, and you keep on printing the exact same way as usual. And then boom, you have it. You can start scanning your store and using RFID. So I know Darren already jumped in, but I'm going to let him talk a little bit about this. He's the CEO of RIOT RFID and one of the people that knows most about retail. He started his first Gap store in Manhattan, or one of the first in Manhattan. And he was actually one of the people who saw the evolution of going from writing down SKUs or items on paper to recognizing or getting introduced with barcodes, and now eventually RFID. So I feel like he's definitely the person that can explain this the best. Darren, on to you.
Well, thanks, Gallica. And I don't know if I started a Gap store. I used to work at a Gap store.
Oh, okay.
If I had started a Gap store, I probably would be retired. And I am definitely not retired. But anyway, it's fun. I actually was scanning the attendee list here while Gallica was talking. It's just fun to see so many familiar names. I'm seeing customers, I'm seeing partners, I'm seeing prospects, and just thanks for your time today. I'm just going to jump in, comment on a couple of the slides, and then just turn it back over to Jason and Gallica, who are probably more interesting, or at least sound sexier. So listen, the thing that strikes me about RFID, especially when I'm talking to prospects, is, I call it the limp that you've come to live with. And that might sound a little bit weird, but let me explain. So, retailers kind of have these age-old problems that have just been part of retail. They have been for 100 years, more than 100 years, right? But they're very real problems. And I think if you scan this list and you ask yourself, do some of these apply to me? You're going to find that there's a big hit rate here. So, how many times does a product not on the shelf in the customer's size? And how many times is like trying to track down an associate to help them? A bit of a hassle. How many times they just turn around and walk out? Shrink. Things get stolen. It's just a fact. What's even worse though is when you don't know it. when you're not even realizing what's missing from your store until you do your physical inventory at the end of the year, or however often you do one. And then the whole meantime, you thought you had it, you didn't reorder it, it wasn't on the shelf. So not only did it get stolen, but then you lost all those sales from the product not being there as well. Gallic already talked about online sales. It doesn't sound like that's impacting a lot of you guys in terms of returns, but for many retailers it is. I mean, it's like, when we talk about inventory not being accurate, it's not because Retail Pro can't add. It's because the people that we hire and employ in our stores, they're human beings. They make mistakes. They type in the wrong number or forget to enter a transaction. And the higher your velocity of returns and things like that, the more likely you are to have errors. And so that's why we kind of highlight this return aspect. I think the brutally obvious part here is just stock management labor. Again, you're just used to it, but do the calculation. The thousands of dollars per year per store that you spend counting items for physical inventory, preparing for inventory, conducting the inventory, doing the double checks on the inventory. It's fatiguing, and it's an enormous amount of effort and money. And then what about just the day in and day out? Every day you're receiving product. Every day you're, walking through the store with a clipboard and making a list of things that you need to restock and reorder. And think about the time you spend just looking for items. And like I was saying earlier, it's just, it's mistakes. It's not the software. It's people and theft and things like that cause, the inventory to not be accurate. And these are all problems that retailers, often just stomach. They've kind of come to accept them. But with RFID, these problems are very, very addressable. We can solve some age-old problems very, very well. And we'll talk more about that. But so it's not just about kind of new use cases. It's about solving age-old problems. Next slide, Gallica. And then we talked, kind of touched on this already, and that's a little bit. And that's, and then there's the new problems. We talked about returns, which sounds like isn't impacting many of you, but what about just out of stock online? I think in a digital world, it's easy for consumers to find what they're looking for on a website, but then if it's out of stock, they're just going to click and find it somewhere else. So it's much worse than not being on the shelf in the store, because when it's not on the shelf online, you just quickly find another online retailer in a matter of seconds. You don't have to get in your car and drive somewhere else. And then people who are offering like pickup in store, that inventory accuracy becomes even more important again, right? So you don't want to say, oh, well, it's at the store down the street from me or across town from me, and jump in the car and go there and they don't have it. So, and then when you're trying to fill web orders, the system says I've got, a couple, I'm holding a web order, I can't find it. But with RFID, you can actually use the scanner, and I think Jason will show that, to actually find items that might not be, visible at first glance. Anyway, there's just, many applications of RFID to solve both kind of new, kind of digital commerce world problems as well as the age-old problems. And when you add them all up, I like to think that it's probably one of the more obvious technology decisions that a retailer will ever face, and just how important this can be to them. It's literally like saying you don't have barcodes in your store. You would never go back to not having barcodes. And those that have implemented RFID, they feel the same way. They would never go back to using barcodes. So, okay, well, enough from me. I'll kind of turn it back over to Gallica, and she can kind of continue on.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Darren. Well, let's narrow. Let's one conclusion here. It all boils back to like how fast do you want to count your inventory? Do you want to sit for days, lose money, lose staff, etc., or do you want to count your inventory fast? If you look at this slide, many big brands are using RFID. Nike, Zara, Macy's, Lululemon, Nordstrom. This is quite obvious. Well, if I see this slide, it really makes me feel that RFID is, of course, working. Otherwise, these brands would never ever decide to move that way. RIOT, on the other hand, has over 4,000 stores using RIOT RFID. So we're proud to announce that, and we're a well-oiled machine. We know what we're doing. We have the expertise. So yeah, I think it's time for you guys to join too. And then some Retail Pro users using RIOT RFID is currently we have over 50, maybe a little bit more Retail Pro stores that have signed up. We have good references, so feel free to email us for references if you would like to talk to one of the Retail Pro users.
I think you bring up a good point, Galika, because the first slide that you had there with the the giant brands, it makes sense for brands that are that big to use RFID, right? I mean, they're making so much money every year. They can definitely afford to invest in the technology for it. And the beautiful thing, like you were saying about RIOT, is it's not just the major level brands. It's normal everyday retailers, people like you and me who are running their businesses and growing their businesses through the use of this product as well. So that's really cool to see. It's accessible for everyone.
Exactly, yes. And the main reason for this specific program is we wanted to make it affordable. We wanted to make it easy and simple for the smaller retailers as well. Of course, we have strategic clients, but this was mainly developed to help small retailers to have it affordable and easy to use. You do not need a huge tech group, to implement this. It's a plug and play version. You simply install the connector to your Retail Pro system, and that takes 20 minutes. Jason will show how fast and easy that is, and you start printing your tags and start using RFID. Also, the pricing we'll get to in a moment, so you guys can see how affordable we made it, and it's a subscription, and that helps a lot of smaller retailers that don't want to pay, a 5-year once-off fee. But I'll get to pricing in a bit. So when you start with RIOT RFID, we have standard features, of course, physical inventory, counting your inventory, RFID tag printing. You can find items with the Search or Geiger feature, calculate replenishment, and then, of course, loss prevention. So these are the standard features that's on RIOT as we speak, and works beautifully. Loads of my clients ask what is next, especially receiving transfers and cycle counting. So I'm very happy to announce that we have been developing the last year, and we are basically testing cycle counting as we speak, and that will be available from November, and then receiving and transfers Q1 of next year. So that's going to be a very exciting time. Loads of clients love these features and have been asking for this, so we are trying to make you guys happy. So let's talk about pricing real quick before we go to the demo. As mentioned, RIOT software starts at $110 per month per store. It's a subscription recurring billing. Of course, there is discounted pricing, so if you choose to take an annual or a 3-year, it drops down to almost $90 a month. Our sales team will, if you guys schedule a demo, our sales team will step you through the pricing and exactly what it entitles. There's a once-off fee just to do the integration. Our tech team need to quickly install the connector, which is $1,000, and then the printer plug-in on each workstation, which is $250. And then the scanner and printer you buy once off. When you buy these, it's yours. You keep them forever. Of course, there's a warranty on that too. And then the RFID tags ranges anything from 5 to 8, 9 cents. I'm saying here it's dropping every year, of course, because of RFID having a higher demand, but shipping has been skyrocketing. So this is a little bit in a delay, but prices are still very low. Anything from 5 to 8 cents. And then RIOT obviously offers online training and support. if you need the initial, once you start, you know, the people from RIOT train you guys really, really well. Just give you a quick introduction. We have DIY training videos on our website. So if you quickly want to understand something, I think there's 11 videos that shows you how the printer works, the scanner works, the portal works, you know, anything from replenishment to counting your inventory. And then RIOT, as mentioned before, we supply everything under one roof. We supply the printers, the scanners, the tags, and the software. So you can get everything from us, which makes it very, very easy. We have an online store, which is www.riotrfid.com. We can share this after the webinar with you guys, and that's where you would buy your RFID tags, your scanners, your printers, etc. So we made it very, very easy once again. Okay, guys, so RFID makes people happy. Happy customers, happy employees, happy owners. I'm gonna now let Jason do a quick demonstration, and after that we will, you guys are more than welcome to ask a few questions and we will answer them, and hopefully we'll get you guys signed up. Jason, all yours.
Thank you. I'm gonna see if I can share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I want to give you a quick introduction to the Retail Pro integrations from RIOT. I will then take you through the plugins and then give you a brief demo on the software itself on my handheld scanner. So to start off with, we are integrated to Prism 2, as well as legacy versions of Retail Pro, as Uliana mentioned, so Retail Pro 9 and Retail Pro 8. Essentially what we do is install a connector on legacy versions, and we use a cloud connector for Prism. And we are essentially synchronizing your store information, your master inventory catalog, as well as quantities per store. And we synchronize this on a daily basis. So the idea is that this is all scheduled. You don't need to do anything. It runs in the background. But you know, you walk into your store first thing in the morning and you are essentially ready to start counting. So pick up your RFID scanner, go and scan, submit your counts. All happens through your in-store Wi-Fi. And if you accept your count on the RIOT portal, then our connector will automatically import that adjustment into Retail Pro and make the necessary changes. So this little option down here is for legacy versions of Retail Pro. What you're seeing in my webpage now is a demo connected to Prism 2 and the same functionality. So I'm going to synchronize stores, catalog, quantities, and the ability to import adjustments. We will go through the setup and configuration with you. Pretty simple, takes us, you know, on a good day, half an hour, on a bad day, maybe an hour. The next thing I wanted to just point out is that within Retail Pro Prism, we've got a little plugin that sits. It looks and feels almost in a standard Retail Pro, but you have the ability to print your RFID tags directly out of Retail Pro. So this is in inventory itself, purchase orders, vouchers, as well as ASNs. If anybody has questions, please put them in the question box and we'll try and get to all of them at the end of this presentation. Once we've synchronized our data to RIOT, we're going to go and print our tags, attach those to the products. And when you're ready to start scanning, you're going to pick up your RFID scanner. So I'm going to share my screen with you, give you a brief walkthrough on what we see in here. In my little demo version of Retail Pro, I've got a current stock on hand for store number 2 of 448 units. We are giving you a list of your current department class, subclass structure in the main screen. And each department is going to display the expected stock on hand for that particular department. So equipment, I'm looking for 62 units, luggage, 35, etc. Another function that we've got built in is the ability to define which area of your store you're currently counting. So we can define, sales floor level 1, back stock, warehouse, that sort of thing. And depending on how we define those locations in the back end of RIOT, this will assist us in delivering a refill report to you, which essentially shows you what products you've got in the back stock that are not on display, and allows you to quickly refill your stores so customers are not always asking, do you have this item in my size or my color, etc. So to start your scan, it's a simple click of the play button, and whatever's in range is immediately going to get picked up. We've got these indicator bars telling us how close we are to completing each individual department. So the scan is essentially, walking you through your store and telling you what you need to go and count and, which sections you need to go back to. When you finished your count, you can click stop and submit this count using your in-store Wi-Fi. So I'm going to leave the default date range there and confirm. And that's now being pushed up to the RIOT portal. Darren mentioned earlier the lookup function. So we find plenty of customers, specifically with online stores, that are using a brick and mortar store to fulfill orders from their online store, and often find it quite difficult to find that last red t-shirt in size extra large somewhere in that store. So our item lookup, we can scan an item from that particular style. We can see what products are available and what quantities we've got, as well as which location we last scanned that particular product, and then use RIOT to essentially play hot and cold with us and tell us where we can find that particular product. So let's give this one a go. And if I hold down the trigger, it's probably in another store. Let's try that one. And we can start geigering to that particular product. So the closer we get, hot and cold. Okay, I'm going to jump back into my RIOT portal. We submitted our scan using in-store Wi-Fi, going to inventory and variance report. We'll select the store that we counted. There's our count from today. And for demo purposes, I'm just going to group by barcode and submit. And RIOT's now essentially given us a list of our Retail Pro products, ERP over here telling us what Retail Pro is expecting, what we've actually scanned, and what that variance would be. A summary of our count up here. You can export this to Excel and PDF if you want to do some variance checks and for your records. And lastly, you can go into the adjust function, confirm your count. Again, select whichever store you're at, select the count ID that you want to adjust. And at this point, you've got the option to accept and reject based on department. The cycle count that's going to be released next month will allow us to accept and reject down to item level. And once these are accepted, it's going to automatically push that adjustment into Retail Pro. So we're essentially circumventing the Retail Pro physical inventory module, and everything else in Retail Pro stays as is. You'll receive product as you would normally. You would click on print tags. The only difference is you're going to click the button that says print RFID tags, and the rest of the Retail Pro procedure at this particular point stays unchanged. So it's a quick learning curve. Pretty simple to install, and we've got customers counting, every single day. I think I'm going to leave it at that, and if anyone's got questions, I'd love to jump into those.
Okay, so yeah, so if you do have questions, please feel free to type them into the question panel, or I believe you can raise your hand as well, and we can click on you for that. You can also, Gallica had shared some email addresses in that presentation. We will definitely share this presentation with you as soon as it's available, likely in this week, maybe early next week. And so you'll have all of that available too. Just as you're thinking about stuff, you can ask questions directly to the emails provided on that slide. Yeah, in case in case, just as you're thinking about stuff and thinking about your own experience of that, feel free. It doesn't look like we have any questions now. So any last words or with that? All right.
I'm good.
Okay. All righty. Well, then, thank you everybody so much for your time, for joining. Hopefully this was worth the 35 minutes of your time, because it can definitely save you a lot of time in your stores going forward. So please do feel free to reach out to the team here at Riot, contact them. Like I said, with any questions and etc. Our team also is available for questions, and your business partner would be the ideal first place to start with that too. So with that, we'll go ahead and sign off. Thank you all again for joining. Hope you have a really good rest of your day, and happy counting.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Ileana.
Thanks, everybody. Ta-ta.
Bye.
Bye-bye.